I should not be making this video today. I recently had a very serious fall, so you could just listen to the audio and not watch this unsightly facade I'm presenting. There's a sense of urgency, however, why I have to do this today. A friend of mine on YouTube is getting a new harpsichord tomorrow. He's an accomplished pianist, and I feel a sense of urgency as to what he is initially going to do when this enters his home, this harpsichord. I'd like to talk about two things: the way the tone is produced, and secondly, what you're going to do with it. You're at a distinct disadvantage being a pianist. You would be much better off if you were starting French horn, because then you would be willing to go to bottom level. How am I going to get a sound? You'd have to develop an embouchure. There are so many things you would have to do. The Mozart divertimento would be way down the line on your list. Now you're playing the contrapunctus number 1. The harpsichord arrives. You sit down and play your piece on it. If you can avoid that, you might just have to do it, but it will get you nowhere, and you'll discover nothing. Because the keyboard looks the same, only perhaps the colors of the keys have been reversed. That's the only thing that's similar. And it's tempting to think that whatever you can do on piano, you can do on this, forgetting that it's a completely different instrument. It's the opposite of piano. On piano, it's all about going down. How hard can you hit it to get your triple fortissimos? It's all about the weight and the key going down. In this case, you want to find out where the plucking point is. So you probably already know this, but just the reminder, we have this jack sitting on the inner end of the key then acting as a lever. And this little tiny piece coming out here, the plectrum, sometimes it's crow quill, plastic, leather. When you press your end of the key down, then this goes up and the plectrum plucks the string. Okay, you want to find out, first of all, where in your key dip is that taking place. Hold on to a key, get yourself some leverage, and start to press the key down very slowly. There was my dip. Then you want to see how much farther does the key go down. Maybe another 1/4 inch or maybe another 1/8 inch. You don't ever want to go down there, because when you go down there, you hear wood. You hear the key hitting the bottom of the harpsichord. So you want to play on that plucking point. Take a key, hold a key, and take it down. Hold it so that you can stop it. What are you feeling? You starting down, what are you feeling? You're feeling the string. We never feel the string on piano. You're actually feeling the string. You're feeling the plectrum nudging the string. You keep pressing, and then it's all over, right? Then, how are you going to stop if you were pushing down? That's the question. The touch, it's an instrument of touch. So, the fact that you can feel the string, you want to develop that. You have lots and lots to learn besides contrapunctus number 2 or a Scarlatti sonata or anything like that. What do you have in the harpsichord tone? How many things have we heard? The first thing we hear is a percussive sound. That's the plectrum plucking the string. Immediately, indiscernibly different from that, is your string vibration, your tone. That's part 2. Did you hear the end? We hear that too. I like to think it's H for harpsichord. That's all you're ever going to get out of this little beast. I see that you're getting a 2-manual instrument. You know, that it's going to be tempting to put on the coupler, put on the 4. You've got 2 8s and a 4 probably. And, you know, whoa, how much sound you can get. But you've never dealt with what is that sound and how am I going to utilize it. If you're not conscious of all 3 parts and where they are on every note, plus stopping at the plucking point, you'll sound like somebody, like a pianist playing a harpsichord. So, we've got these 3 parts. You're responsible for all 3 parts, unless you decide to sacrifice a part. How can you do that? Well, if my next note starts there and goes like this, what's the difference? This doesn't have a beginning, because the beginning came the same moment as the ending of this. Those 2 percussive sounds came the same time. This sound is what it is because it came out of silence. That's what made it strong. This one does not come after silence, so it's going to be weaker. Instead of, I heard the ending of the first one, I heard the beginning of the second one. Well, that's going to be very useful, knowing that. The teeniest sliver of time there, this thick as a cigarette paper, will make a huge difference. So the size of the space between the ending of one and the beginning of the next is infinite variety of sizes. So that's one way we could weaken this, make this note softer, if you will, than this. We could do it also, if we wanted it even weaker, we could leave it a little early. So it's been denied its beginning, and it hasn't been allowed to last the full length. It's how you're going to manipulate these things. It's how you're going to give the impression of dynamics. You can actually make a note sound softer. And I would, the longer you can wait before you just do your trip on this new creature. It's sort of like you just were introduced to somebody and you jump into bed. It's a little brutal almost. You want to find out who your instrument is, what it has, what it can do, the easiest thing you can play the best. What about the little G minor minuet, one hand? I can play those notes as written. It won't be till the D then in the second bar that we'll hear the end of a note, because I had to leave it in order to repeat it, right? I had to let it go. So if I do nothing, right? You don't even know what meter I'm in. I could be in 4/4, I could be in 2/4. There's no, it could be da-dum, da-dum. I haven't given you any information of rhythm at all, or meter. So what do we want to do then? We want to, well, think of triple meter in itself. What is the strongest beat? One, of course, is the strongest beat. What is the next strongest beat? Or what is the weakest beat? Think about it. The weakest beat is not 3. The weakest beat is 2. 3 is what gives the energy to the next one. 3 needs to be almost as strong as 1, but not as strong as 1. That means if I connect the B flat to the A, and then make that the A is going to be weak, and I might even make it a little shorter. But then when I go to the G and then go over the bar to the A, the same way I went from the B flat to the A, it's going to sound like 4/4. Right? So the G has to be as long as it can be without connecting to the A in the next bar. These kind of things, well, it can take a long time. It can take a very long time. My teacher was a protege of Wanda Landowska, and she had developed a touch, a system of her own. He had learned that, and that's the way he taught. I tried teaching that way too for a long time, but it's so rigorous and very few students were willing to go the route. It was learning how to control that plucking point, how to aim for the plucking point and not bed the key. That's how you're going to get the control. That means you're never leaning on the keyboard. The keyboard's never holding up your arm. I remember getting tingly feelings with my arms sort of falling asleep because I'd been holding them out so long with no support. It was hard to get used to that. You're always above. Now, you say that sometimes piano instructors you've heard say everything on piano that if you're playing Bach should be detached. Well, you see, that's a very hasty bit of advice or information, because We're not good. We're not detaching everything. And in fact, the first time I ever touched a harpsichord, what impressed me the most was how long the sound lasted. So I'm sending you this with my best wishes, that you have an adventurous day meeting your new friend. Of course, as you're doing all of this discovery, you should just be playing one set of strings so that you can feel it. If you're playing both eights, the 4 and the 8, any combination, it's going to be harder for you to feel that plucking point. Also, you should play as little piano as possible, hopefully none. The longer you can wait and surrender yourself to this new experience, the better. When you go to a piano, finally, and it feels weird and sort of rubbery and strange and even maybe unpleasant, you'll know that you're getting the feel of the harpsichord.